Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome everybody to our November 5th Election Day meeting. Hope everybody got out and voted. We will start. We have no public hearing tonight. We will start with our main meeting. Roll call, please. Commissioner Tallman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dunlap.
Here.
Eichelberry.
Here.
Hepner.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Tallman here. Ingram.
Present.
Manus.
Here.
Carrington.
Here.
Schilling.
Here.
Thomas.
Here.
And Schneider. We have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Tallman. Report of City Council activity, Laura? Or not Laura?
That's me. So I think I just have one item, the right-of-way vacation request for Keith Jack's property over at 7th and Marquette has been approved by council. We are moving through the conveyance process now.
Okay, thank you. Secretary's report.
Move the report.
Secretary's report has been moved and seconded as printed. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It will remain as printed. Comp plan, anything, Laura?
Nothing at this time.
Thank you. We do not have any zoning or subdivision activity. Any future business?
I will double check and confirm, but I'm pretty sure that our next meeting is canceled.
Dang it.
I know.
Check
Happy,
it out,
happy
would ya?
holidays.
All right, communications, anything? I would like to thank Commissioner Dunlap. He offered to give a tour of the Corps of Engineers Lock 14 operation. And while we only had a few members present, I've been out there numerous times, but I'm here to tell you it was very informative, very impressive. What you do out there and the operation that takes place and that 500-ton crane is mind-boggling. It really is, and I want to thank you.
Yeah,
You bet.
thank you. It was very, very interesting. I appreciate it too.
Absolutely.
And I would add, if people in the future want to do something like that, we could do, I know it was short notice, and so understandably, but people interested, it's a public location, so happy to show.
Well, and I'd like to extend that to maybe next spring, if that crane comes back, maybe we could
Absolutely.
give a little more notice and do that again, because
Yes.
I would highly recommend it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Commissioner Dunlap. Under other business, we have case ED 24-02, is a request to extend the Village of East Davenport's self-supported municipal improvement district, also known as the SMID. The staff recommends that the Plan and Zoning Commission forward case ED 24-02 to the City Council with a recommendation for approval, and I would so move.
Second.
Laura, or?
Yep, I'll do it. Okay. So a SMID is basically additional tax for a specific area that's self-imposed that they can use for district-related improvements. So the commission's role in this instance is to review the amendment, which is basically an extension of the time only in this case. They're not proposing any changes to their boundaries. They're not proposing any additional tax levy, just to maintain what they currently have. So you're reviewing this for conformance with the city's comprehensive plan. Map on the right shows the boundary of the area, to basically encompasses the commercial area of the Village of East Davenport. So this is the language from the petition to extend. State code requires at least 25% of all property owners by assessed value sign a petition to move this forward. So as I stated, they're keeping the same boundaries. They're keeping the same operation fund tax levy rate. They're keeping the capital improvement fund tax levy rate the same. And they're petitioning to have this for a 20-year period starting July 2025. Just for reference, the areas that we're referring to, and there are some city-related boundaries in there. It's largely so that the SMID funds could, in theory, be used within that area as well. But even though we don't pay taxes. So those are your current zoning map on the left and your future land use map on the right. And as Commissioner Ingram stated, our recommendation is to move this forward because it meets the creating a positive business climate that encourages growth of existing and new businesses and part of our comprehensive plan. And we recommend forwarding on for approval to council.
Thank you, Laura. Commissioners, any questions or observations? Commissioner Manus.
Thank you. I just had a question of how you calculate 25% of the owners. Does that, because some of the properties appear to be under similar or exact ownership, so is it of 25% of the properties or is it of the actual owners?
It's 25% of the assessed value of the area. So what we did is we took the boundaries, looked up their gross assessed value, and then I created a spreadsheet, and for every signature by property was a certain percentage of the SMID district.
Okay, so it's really the assessed value is the issue, not the number of owners.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
And number.
Yeah. So, Suzanne Knutson, I'm Economic Development Manager. Not a staff liaison. Laura and I have been helping the East Village walk through this process. It was last done 10 years ago. So state code dictates that it needs to be at least 25% of the total property owners, as well as at least 25% of the assessed valuation of the property.
Right.
Okay.
In this case, we do have Iowa American Water. They're much like us, they're not taxed. So some of those we would not take into consideration. Frankly, it was easier to leave them in than have the East Village need to redo the legal description of the boundaries. And it does allow then if they wanted to carry over lighting or what into their, south of River Drive, they could do that as well. But yeah, state code is 25% of the total owners, which we would go on a property basis. So if there's 100 properties, we would look for at least 100 owners. Or, it could be the same owner though.
I
And then,
see.
yeah,
I
and then the
see.
value.
Yep, so they're not looking for different ownership. So if you own multiple properties, you get to count that for every
I see.
signature line you had.
I see.
And I think there was a total of 40,
Maybe 40, maybe like, I want to say 44% of the value.
44% of the value. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Manus. Commissioner Tallman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just curious, in the lifetime of this SMID, have there been maybe some of the businesses that originally were holding out that didn't want to participate? Have you seen a few of them realize the advantage and come forward and say, yeah, we would like to be part of this?
So we're not actually doing the door knocking. We process from the petitioner submitted signatures. So I don't know for sure if we've seen any changes. I haven't compared the two, something that we could, I guess, look at. But it's been in existence since about 94. So we would have to I'm not sure if we have the signatures going back that far, but we could look into it and see what it kind of looks like.
And if there are businesses that don't, that hold out, or whatever term you want to use, do they still reap the benefits?
So what basically next steps will happen is we're going to get past this process. The city will send out a notification to all property owners by certified mail, inviting them to the public hearing at council. They can speak in favor or against it there, and that will ultimately be council's decision whether or not to move this forward one way or the other. But I haven't heard a lot one way or the other.
Yeah, I'm more closely involved in the Hilltop SMID, so I sit as a non-voting member of the Hilltop SMID, and then of course, we have city representation as members in the downtown Davenport SMID. I know after the Hilltop was passed, we did have some businesses say, I don't really want to be in it. Well, it was already passed. So state code, states that the city sends out certified mail at least 15 days before the public hearing. So, yeah, it's really kind of left, state code says at 25 and 25. I don't believe that mandates that council approves, but that is the threshold that the state sets, that they have to get that amount of signatures or value to be brought forth. Because then it's anything commercial, and if it's in a historic district, it can be housing. If the housing is not in a historic district, it's just limited to commercial properties. So, if you live, say, in the Hilltop and you're in a house, no, you're not charged because it's not a historic district there. But in this case, it is, so any housing that would be in there would likely be included.
Although I would say that there really aren't any that are houses. There might be just a few
Well,
in the
like
village.
Pierce School would probably be
Yeah.
the biggest one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Tallman. Commissioner Garrington.
I guess the question is, what have they done in the last, 10 years? I mean, I drove around the city of East Davenport, and there seem to be a lot of empty buildings, or buildings in need of repair. And is that money being used well? Is it, or what are we doing here with this? Who checks it, by the way? Who keeps the books?
The city keeps the books.
Okay.
So the money comes to the city, we hold it, and then they ask for it when they have disbursements that are needed, that we make sure it qualifies and that they're staying in line with their budget and where they do it. I think the project that's most recent is they redid all of their streetlights. So they had to reconstruct the inside part of their streetlights to make them all work again. They were not functional anymore, and they had to redo all the wiring in the streetlights. So that was one of their pretty costly projects, actually. They've done street furniture, some plantings, things like that.
Yeah, I'd say the big difference between like the East Village SMID and the downtown Davenport SMID is size, right? The downtown Davenport SMID is taxed at a higher rate, and it's just a lot more property value. So I think they've done a lot with lights, with street banding, kind of to make it look like a cohesive village. They just don't, and even Hilltop, there's not a whole lot of money coming in because it's such a small area.
And they help with a lot of the events that go into the village, some of the fun runs and the zombie walk and the holiday things and around the Bix Fest and stuff like that. So those are coordinated through their SMID.
Yeah. I was just thinking that the last 10 years, it really has gone down in eye appeal. And I don't know if anybody else has been around, but that's, except for Lago Marcinos, that always looks good, but there you go. But it does seem to, they're on a losing battle here or something. Tell me agree. No, I don't. Don't you think so? No, I think it's much. Okay.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Garrington. Commissioner Eichelberry.
Yeah, I have a simple question. You said that this was revisited 10 years ago and that it sounds like the petitioner is asking for this new arrangement to be in place for 20 years. Is there a reason that the term is double, or could you speak to that? Does it get revisited?
So it's up to the petitioner on the length of time they want to do at, but you are allowed to do up to 20, and our other SMID districts do 20, so that you don't have to go through the process so often. So that's what they elected to do this time. I think they had been doing 10-year stints for a while, and it's stayed in place, and they haven't made a lot of changes to that. So I think to stabilize and budget and plan in the future, they extended it to the 20-year mark.
Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Eichelberry. Commissioner Dunlap.
So just to understand, of the 25%, that are in the petition that are for it, is there any particular owner that is a large majority that drives that train, or is it pretty evenly distributed across multiple owners?
Well, there is one particular owner that does drive it, yes.
So I mean, I understand there's got to be a petitioner, right? And maybe that's who that is. But I mean, of what, you know, and I don't know that we can know the details, whatever, but I mean, what proportion of the 25% is within single ownership? Because obviously conceivably, you know, you could get in a scenario where one owner represents the 25%, could you not, based on the way the rules are written?
In this case, no one property would get you over that amount, but.
But
there- if-
cumulatively,
Cumulatively, yes, there is one particular property owner that signed that it was just under 20% of property value.
Right, so I guess,
percent
are there
property
several
value.
other property owners that are interested in doing it, I guess, from your list? That's all I'm kind of curious. Or is it really some one individual that's dominating it that then forces everybody else to have to do it? That's, I guess, which if it's allowed, I guess it's allowed. I'm just,
Yeah, it looks like there's 13, just looking here, 13 different property owners on that have signed.
okay.
Yeah.
Some of them multiple times. So there's several properties, one owner in particular that owns several. Oftentimes they're either single or maybe two lots.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Commissioner Dunlap. Anybody else at this time? Seeing none, let's call for a vote. Commissioner Tallman?
Dunlap,
Yes.
Eichelberry,
Yes.
Hefner,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Tallman, yes. Manus,
Yes.
Garrington,
Yes.
Schilling,
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
And Schneider.
Yes.
Motion carries, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Tallman. Anything else, Laura?
That's all I have.
That would conclude what I have to offer.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor signify by aye. Opposed, same sign. We are officially adjourned. Thank you for your attendance.